Yo, my name is Anto. I am a TV and radio personality, and today I am joined by the one and only Amelia Hopkins Phillips, who is the co-founder and executive director of a Somo organization. But I am not going to be talking about it today. We will let her do all the talking. Karibu sana, Amelia.
Asante.
Thank you so much for coming through. And we are having, by the way, we are at this amazing place called Lava Latte, right on State House Road, and we're drinking our dawa, hot lemon honey ginger. And the honey comes from one of the enterprises that has been funded by a Somo organization, Puri Seth. Just so you know. Mambo.
Poa.
Yeah, I guess you don't like. Awesome. So let's start from the beginning. Who is Amelia Phillips and what is Somo Africa?
Yeah. So me, I started working here 7 years ago, and I used to work in the education space. And one of the things that I noticed working in that space was this unsustainable NGO culture that existed in a lot of places across Nairobi. And what I mean by that is organizations that would come in for short periods of time from abroad, start programs. There wasn't a lot of buy-in from the local populations, and so the programs would just not really last very long. And in the education space specifically, kids were in and out of school because parents could not afford to actually pay the school fees that their kids needed to stay in a consistent school system. And so I started working with a bunch of youth groups on just ideas that they had on how they wanted to create change and address the needs that they were seeing in their own local communities. And so started working on that about 5 years ago now with a few entrepreneurs, and really the organization built out of that. We wanted to support locally led initiatives coming from informal settlements across Nairobi that were sustainable long term and didn't need continuous infusions of capital to keep going. And what we then are able to provide as Somo now, and what the organization has grown into, is providing the resources, the training, mentorship, access to markets and capital that are not really accessible right now in low-income urban areas. Really across the world, but definitely specifically in Nairobi and Kisumu, where we've now launched.
Cool. So one of the things that I actually enjoyed by going around Kibera, Korogosho, basically all around Nairobi and meeting some of your entrepreneurs is this word Somo, which actually basically means a lesson. And I think even for me as an outsider, I actually did get to learn a few lessons, even in terms of entrepreneurship and just perseverance and the patience and the day-to-day things that an entrepreneur has to go through. So take me through what happens when you sort of meet this young, or even if it's an old entrepreneur, someone who basically wants to begin this journey. How does the balance come in through Somo and through this young entrepreneur?
Yeah, so I mean, what you brought out about what our name actually means with lessons, we are constantly learning lessons as an organization. We're constantly learning lessons from the entrepreneurs we work with, and vice versa. And our entrepreneurs, we hope, are constantly learning lessons from each other as well. And so when we first meet entrepreneurs, we're doing outreaches in all the communities we work in. We work with local leaders in those areas to talk about what Somo does and get people to apply to the program. In terms of the businesses that we look for businesses that touch health, educational, or environmental needs in their communities, and are producing a product or service that's a little bit different than what currently exists in the area. It doesn't have to be the next big new technology that we're looking for. We're looking for basic solutions that address a real need in these areas. So example of that is we work with a peanut butter business in Mathare. And Rose started Bounty Nut and is producing really good peanut butter. It's the best in Nairobi by far, but it's peanut butter. It's a product that exists, right? But what she's able to do, because her product is better, I think, and a lot of people would agree, than what's currently on the market, she's able to bring that back into her community and employ single mothers in her area. And so that type of impact is so important to these women in this area who don't right now have a lot of access to job opportunities.
And is it an easy journey in terms of working with the entrepreneurs? Are they all open to the idea that we're going to take your idea, break it down to a level where we feel like it's sustainable, it's consumable, it is relatable? Before we even talk about the challenges that basically face an organization like Somo, whether it's working with the government, the private sector, public sector, but even just working with the entrepreneurs, how do you get them from a mindset of opening a business to you have to sustain this business?
Yeah, so I think that comes down to each individual person, and people are different, and that's one of the first things to understand in the type of work that we do, is that you're going to be dealing with so many different types of personalities, so many different situations at home, so many different realities that people are dealing with. And so coming into it with that understanding is the first thing that one of the things that we try to talk to our team about when someone's joining our team. And so one of the things I think is really special about what we do at Somo is we do take that into account. We don't just look at, okay, this is your idea, this is the business you want to start. We look at who you are as an individual and what your realities are and how we can support you as a person. When you ignore that, you're going to ignore a big part of the business, and you can't be successful in supporting the individuals that we work with unless you understand that. And just the community that we've built around Somo, the support system. If you're coming from a more privileged background, you probably have that support system with friends and family, whether it's in terms of capital or just someone to go home and talk to about your business. If you're coming from a lower income area, realities that your family and friends are facing are trying to put food on the table at the end of the day.
Yeah.
No one's going to care about your new idea and how it is.
Idea.
Yeah, exactly. And so what we're able to provide is that community. So both with our team and the entrepreneurs that we work with, we're able to provide this support system that I think is really, really important to building those businesses.
Cool. And let's now talk about the external sort of ecosystem. And obviously we have to bring in the public and obviously private partnerships. Tell us about how the journey has been, sort of even just trying, for example, to put the containers on location, working with local, administration, government administration, working with the government, working with private entities. How's that journey been? Because I can imagine it is not a walk in the park.
Yeah, not always, definitely. One of the things that we had to learn when we started to expand around Nairobi, so we now work across 8 different communities in Nairobi, was just that every single area we enter into has different politics. And learning those different politics, learning the different ways that people work and are going to react to your organization are going to be a new challenge each time, and taking that in stride and being able to find ways to work with the local communities is so important. In terms of private partnerships, we work across Nairobi with different accelerators and advisory programs that work with entrepreneurs. We try to, as much as possible, build those partnerships because it's really important for entrepreneurs to grow beyond us. So we're working at that earliest stage where a business is just starting, they're just getting off their feet. And we want to build them to a point that they can get into another program that can grow them even further. So we have partnerships with organizations like IBIZ Africa and Ongoza to grow our entrepreneurs beyond the point that they're going to get to with Somo. Yeah. And those are really, really important to both our growth and also our individual businesses.
Speaking of your entrepreneurs, probably you could mention a couple of them who sort of have had an interesting impact in society. We obviously definitely cannot mention all the entrepreneurs. We love all of you, by the way. But there's, for example, for me, a couple of them that I know Puriseth, the hydroponics guys who I keep talking about all the time because they do such amazing work that I have just not, I have not seen before. There's obviously Hidaya, diapers. Gosh, I've met so many. There's your Toto, obviously. Yeah. There's the Tishon Palace. Oh, they're just coming back to me now. There's Ria Freak. So there's all these guys that I've met who definitely, and one of the things that I realize about them is that they really have been able to understand this journey, that it's not easy, but you have to have an easy heart. You have to understand that you have to be open to every opportunity, to everything that the world could throw at you. So some of the entrepreneurs who basically have made an impact in society that are from Somo, and we'd like to highlight them today.
So a couple that you mentioned, Hadaya is, Hadaya is the reusable diaper company, as you know, and so it's started by a mother-daughter team, Hilda and Diana, and they're an amazing team. When they first entered Somo, I remember them barely speaking in class. They would barely talk to me. They would never ever raise their hand. And one of the cool things to see as our entrepreneurs grow and they are in our program longer is just that build up in confidence that they get. And so recently, Diana, the daughter, got up in front of a crowd of I think about 50 people to give a presentation on why the group should invest in Hadaya diapers. And just seeing that type of growth is amazing. And then on the other side of it, they've sold over 10,000 diapers at this point to low-income mothers across Kenya. So they have now expanded to Kisumu as well. And just to see that growth and also that growth in confidence is a really, really amazing thing. And then another one you mentioned, Barracks with Veronica and Eric, which are our brother-sister team. That hydroponics business is now employing over 15 people, and they've now scaled to 3 different informal settlements in Nairobi. So they're in Kugemi, Karangwari, and Kibera, with small-scale hydroponic systems. And so what they're able to do is empower those farmers to be able to go from being subsistence farmers to being able to sell their products outside. So they set up these systems, and now they're able to produce higher income selling vegetables and fruits, and they're able to actually bring money back into their family versus just providing enough to feed their family. So that's really exciting to see. They're actually in Kakuma now. We're starting to set up also hydroponic systems in refugee camps. So those are 2 businesses that really, the growth of them over the last couple of years since we started working with them has been amazing to see.
There's also clearly, you're also really concerned and not necessarily concerned, but you're also, you're aware of the welfare and the growth of your entrepreneurs. And you're talking about it's more holistic. It's not just about putting in the money and then you need to make money. You need to grow yourself, but also the inward growth of these entrepreneurs. And why so? Why is it important that you not only just ensure that their businesses are running, but they as people are actually growing? Like for example, the entire story. I think that's really beautiful. That someone who couldn't speak in class can now be able to pitch for a business and actually get funding for their business. Why is that important for Somo to ensure that there's a holistic growth for these entrepreneurs?
I think because being an entrepreneur is a holistic thing. It's your life. And so if you're not going to pay attention to all the other factors in someone's life, you're not going to be successful in helping them as an entrepreneur. There are times when kids of our entrepreneurs have been dropped off on our laps at Somo so that they can go do a delivery.
It's like, you guys, it's like, you got me into this, so now you gotta take care of the baby.
Exactly. And there are times when I and also our team have gotten calls from our entrepreneurs at midnight because they have something that they need to do the next day, and we need to talk about it. And that's just the reality of the type of work we do.
You're now a family.
Yeah, we are family. We're there for weddings and birthdays and all those things, all those big moments in life. And we're also there for all the low moments. So there are days when we get calls or I'm meeting with an entrepreneur and they break down because life's hard and there are things that come up that are challenges and it's not always easy. But we also get to be there for the really high moments and the really exciting things. And it's a pretty cool thing to see the ability for someone one moment to see this major low and then see them succeed in the end. And that's a pretty cool thing to see how resilient people can be.
Yeah, so in terms of ability and what they get to learn from you, take us through like what happens if, as Anto, I sort of, for example, I present an idea that I want to put up probably a concert series all over Nairobi, and I think you can generate X amount of money. And so I come to Somo, and you like the idea, and you want to put, funding into the idea. So then what happens for Anto? Just take us through from like the first email or the call that I get that I'm successful to the training sessions. What do you train? What are you gonna train me on? And to the point where you say now, go ye into the world and multiply.
So if you apply into our program, there's a couple ways to get into our programs. But the application process piece of it is you would apply into our entrepreneurship bootcamp, which is the part of our program that focuses on social entrepreneurs. And so that process, first you fill out a one-pager application. That's pretty simple. That you can do through our website, or as well you can fill out a hard copy at one of our spaces. So our spaces are in Kibera and also in Korogocho. From there, then we choose a group of individuals that are finalists. Those individuals now will receive a little bit of training on how to write a basic business plan. So it's about 10 hours of training that they receive in total. And from there, we then have an external judging team that judges those business plans. And then with our training team does an interview with those finalists. From that, we choose a group of 15 per class. So in Nairobi, at any time, we have 15 going through training in Kibera and 15 in Korogocho. In Kisumu, we have one class going on. So about 45 individuals across the country are always going through training with Somo. And then from there, they go through 12 weeks of training. That training, we focus on practical skills. So none of our training is the theoretical concepts that you learn on a board and then you have no idea how to apply it into life. Everything we do is based on market research that our entrepreneurs are carrying out in the field. They're set up with mentors, both on our training team and entrepreneurs who are currently in our portfolio to help them through that process. They as well prototype their idea and they learn how to pitch. And they do that both during training days with our team and then as well in front of our advisors, which are volunteers throughout Nairobi that are different business professionals. After that period of time, then you graduate from the training and the goal is, at that point, you're ready to launch your business. You've now prototyped it, you know how to pitch it, you understand your pricing scheme, you understand your business model generally. And so then you can apply, if you want to, into our 2-year acceleration program. And at that stage, we really help with everything that's needed to launch these businesses. So everything from coaching at an individual level to help the businesses go from that launch stage to being operational to cash flow positive, which actually all besides one of our businesses have been cash flow positive within 8 months of starting.
Wow.
Which means they've been profitable within 8 months of starting.
Yeah.
And then as well, we give you space to work out of. So we have 2 co-working spaces in Nairobi that our entrepreneurs have access to. And we give them the initial capital they need to launch. And that capital is non-repayable. So they do not have to actually repay anything to Somo. And then just helping them grow their sales is another big part of our or what we do. So we help them access markets that are outside of their local communities. And we do that through online platforms. So we have our own shop online, and then we also use Jumia, we use Sky Garden to sell our products as well.
Wow, that's amazing. One of the things also that I did notice that the communities around these spaces really know your people and they really love your people, and it's interesting to see and also to tell people that a lot of the solutions that we do have, that we to problems that we want, that we have in the ghetto, and that's just a slang word, but really in impoverished areas do come from ourselves. So it also is a challenge to you guys who are watching, that there's always something you create. There's always you can always provide a solution to a certain problem through something. Like, just come up with something, think. There's always something for all of us to sort of come through and create. And that saying, it leads me to obviously one of the most important things that we are doing, which is Somo Day. And I believe it's going to be a first of so many. And bring us to the point where you got to a point of saying, you know what, we feel like we need to showcase our entrepreneurs, our enterprises, to a more public level, and to really take these guys out of their comfort zone and to now be able to bring them to the market.
Yeah.
Sort of to say, how did you get to this point? Yeah.
So we try to slowly get our entrepreneurs out of their comfort zone. So we first do that within our own spaces, our pitch days during training, bring advisors into our spaces, and our spaces are in the communities we actually work in. And they're having to pitch their business ideas in front of the people they don't know, strangers that are business professionals, investors, advisors throughout Nairobi. And then we try to get them to also have to pitch outside of their local communities in a place that might not be as comfortable, but gets them to a place where they can really go to that next level and be able to sell outside their local communities, but also get investment outside their local communities, which is so important to be bringing capital back into low-income communities and not only be circling it around the same area.
Cool. So what's going to happen on Somo Day? Like, what's going down?
Well, you're going to be performing.
Yeah, I'm going to be shutting down. I am going to be shutting down Somo Day. And if you're watching this after we've just done Somo Day, well, I have just shut down Somo Day. I do not care that it's during the day. You know me, whether it's 6 a.m. or 10 a.m. or 2 p.m., we have to shut down. And the reason, and for me, the reason I have so much energy and is because I feel like also the music industry, especially in Kenya, it hasn't gotten to a level Hollywood status where, you know, you're basically, you know, talking about like millions and millions of dollars. But it's the ecosystem is the same. You have to pitch your ideas when you go for meetings. You have to work beyond being just a musician and do other kinds of jobs that involve that. You have to use your networks to be able to benefit the kind of jobs that you do. So it really is just like being a startup. You have to be out of your comfort zone. And so for me, it's interesting to see young people and the old who have decided that time isn't a factor, but for them, they're going to take every opportunity they get with Somo and really use this lesson to be able to get out of situations that, you know, and life that they would not want to go back to. And for someone who comes from Kawangware and has made it to where I've made it, it really is a begging call to all of us that we can be able to do this. And it's important for all of us to support young entrepreneurs, to support any entrepreneur who's basically doing the best they can do to change their lives and those of those around them. So Somo is lit. It's gonna be lit. I can't say every word that I want to use because this is for corporate people. But yeah, so tell us what's gonna be happening at Somo, because I know I want to buy some shoes, clothes, honey, peanut butter that I didn't buy the last time, and everyone's talking about bounty nuts. It was like, you didn't get bounty nuts, so I want to buy a peanut butter.
So Somo Day will be where entrepreneurs are selling their products and talking about what they do and their stories to get to the point that they are right now. So you'll be able to come and either actually buy physical products or hear about the products or services that our entrepreneurs are selling around Nairobi. And yeah, it's going to be a fun day.
Are you going to be giving a speech?
Maybe. If you call me on stage, I'll
No, I didn't when I told you I was planning to do that. That's the plan. The plan is like have an interview even on stage on the day. Too late, now you know. So, and then even the cameraman is like, yeah, you got yourself Anto, you just messed up yourself, I just snitched on myself. And then right after Somo, so what does the future hold after Somo? I know there's a lot of young people, and I keep mentioning young guys, it's actually anyone. There's a lot of people who are going to come to Somo who also want to, you know, basically get into this ecosystem, and you're quite welcome, everyone's welcome. And apart from that, I know that some of them will probably join the next cohort. That's going to be an interesting journey for them and for all of us. What happens after Somo Day? What are the plans? What is the future?
So we actually have our first socially focused entrepreneurship bootcamp starting in Kisumu next week. So that's launching right now, and then our plan is to expand across other urban areas in Kenya, and then hopefully across the continent as well. So we'll continue growing in Nairobi and then across the country.
Cool. And so now we are gonna get into a little funny, interesting session, because it's not always serious, guys. Like sometimes we have to be a little bit, you know, interesting. So I want to ask you a few questions, like a quick fire of sorts. And this is like the LinkedIn quick fire. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna ask you questions. You have to answer them really quickly, whether it's a yes or no answer, or pick whatever. Nairobi or
Scared
Mombasa.
about these. I'm scared about these.
I already asked them one Nairobi or Mombasa.
But that's a hard question. You
Why?
can't tell me yes or no. So Nairobi to live. I like fast pace. I like my boda. I like my motorcycle. My own motorcycle. Chaos.
Yeah.
Mombasa if I need a day off.
If do you ever get a day off?
Once every few months, maybe a
Yeah.
day.
That's a long time. Okay. This one I know. I definitely know the answer. Boda or a taxi.
Oh my God, boda any day. I was stuck in the car yesterday, and it was the most awful thing. I got out. I left.
Same here.
I was like, I'm gonna walk.
What pissed me off was the fact that I couldn't leave my car and get into a boda. Like, if you could just park your car and
Oh
not
my
get
gosh.
stolen, I would literally get on a boda and go. I would be like, I'll pick you in 3 days.
Yeah.
That's how bad Nairobi can be.
I can't sit in traffic. I'm boda all the way.
I am gonna ask you shorts, trousers.
Neither skirts. I literally when I ride my motorcycle, I have to wear leggings underneath and hike up my skirt.
Do you know why I didn't bring up the skirts? Because I knew you were gonna say skirts. Like I was 100% sure. Before when I saw you today, I was like, guys, she's wearing. I wanted to call Gloria. She is like Lorraine. She's wearing. She is in pants. This is unheard of. So that's it though. Like, what do you do? Like, are you on? Oh, I gotta ask you this. Facebook or Instagram?
So I technically have both accounts. I don't know either very well.
You need to start with a disclaimer. The disclaimer is you do not, I do not know social media.
Just working on it, guys. You should follow me.
Yeah, where are you gonna follow you?
Then tell me how to post.
Do you know your Instagram handle?
No.
Has someone
Mel's HP? I think.
Believe it. Has someone ever slid into your DM?
Someone recently slid into my DMs like 3 months ago.
Yeah.
And I learned what that meant because of that.
And you found out later.
I found out afterwards.
So what happened? Was it they slid into your DM and then
It took me like 2 weeks.
you?
It took me 2 weeks to even read it because I didn't know it was possible. But I saw the little like one up in the corner.
Yeah.
So I clicked it and I was like, oh, there's a message there.
Oh.
And then